That's where we're headed. So how can we improve access to opportunities? Here's a little bit of a more specific thing. So categories include we can move faster or we can improve proximity. You can put a finer point on that. Finer point, I mentioned congestion, I mentioned speed increases. I did not mention connections are created. So if your street network connects better, then people don't have to travel as far out of direction and they can get to destinations more easily. So just having an interconnected street network tends to improve access to opportunities. This is a framework to think about decision-making of where. It's a framework for that. Connections are created, growth near transportation. Give me a term for that. We have terms for growth near transportation. That was a generic phrase, growth near transportation. Give me a plan or term that we use when we talk about growth near transportation. You got one? TOD is one, okay? TOD is one. Jobs and amenities located near housing, mixed uses, right? City and town centers, villages, things of that sort. Okay, now, here's the difference between the top three, especially the top two and the bottom two. The bottom two don't cost the taxpayer a lot to provide. You follow me? Allowing growth to happen near transportation like TOD, allowing the private sector to mix homes and jobs, what those do is they reduce the need for mobility improvements. So these things kind of are like yin and yang. Dig? Okay. I didn't want that I just said dig. I wish I could pull that one back in. It's too late. We're just getting to know each other. So linking destinations near housing, it's these kinds of things. So let's pretend you have firms in your city. These are the black buildings, and they located where they are for a variety of different reasons, and you have homes in your city, yellow. Well, let's just take one firm. You can improve, I'm hitting the point again, I'm sorry, but you can improve the amount of area that could be covered within a certain commute time. You could add development near that fast way of moving. Those are the kinds of things. Okay, now, did you know that your own Google Map device gets into this concept? Here is, down here under map details on Google is travel time. Have you done this before? And so this is my home in North Salt Lake City, located just north of Salt Lake City. And in that home, you can see my travel time by car, 15 minutes from my house. And so access to opportunities is growing that shed and more things within the shed, right? All right, now to the main event, the housing site evaluator. Now, let me give you the slightly bad news right up front. This tool covers basically the greater Wasatch Front. Brigham City down through the southern end of Utah County. How many of you, that includes, Weber, Davis, Salt Lake County, I think, does it include Morgan and Tooele counties? So how many of you are excluded by that geography? Sorry for that. Let me tell you, I'm just being upfront with you about this. If you like this idea, this is the first time we've talked about it. This is the unveiling of this tool. If you like this idea, we can talk with our friends, with the state. Is Tara here? We can have a conversation about expanding the geography of this. It would not be very hard. And so you tell us if you think it's of use in your neck of the woods. Would love to understand that. Here's the housing site evaluator. You go to it, you click Get Started, and you can turn on and off a bunch of things that you say, I care about. You can turn up the weight, the importance of that consideration to up or down. You can say, I don't care about it at all. Or you can say, I care about it a ton. let me give you the overview of the options you could consider. One of them is, how many jobs can I get to by car? This is looking at Davis and Weber County, just to give you the landscape. If you zoomed into one city, it would be different, but the ease of movement with a car is really robust, and so you have to zoom out to see the differences. Does that make sense? Here is the ability to get to jobs by transit for the same area. Can you see it's a little bit sort of subtle, the coloring, but you can see that, can you surmise where like front runner stations are? Can you surmise that? Did I use the word surmise correctly? Okay. Now, separate from how many things you can get to, think of like those telling you how many jobs I can get to in a commute by those two modes of transportation. Not unlike that Google map. Now, this is a different thing. This is, where are the actual bus stops? This is, where are the freeway interchanges? Where are the active transportation lines? These are things you could say, I value being near those, or I don't care if I'm near those, and you choose your own adventure. Then you get down to community scale. So this gets into things like, and I've just turned them all on to just show you. Childcare, these are the ones in the tool right now. Childcare centers, healthcare facilities, educational institutions. We probably could have just said schools, maybe not. Grocery stores, community centers, public parks. Those are the things in the tool. So you can turn these up. You can see here, it's sort of an arbitrary scale, 0 to 1. You turn them up or turn them down, however you want. You can have it just be community necessities, or you can have it just be the regional necessities, or just, I want to be near physical pieces of infrastructure, whatever you feel like. And that's the overview of the tool. Here is Clearfield. Anybody here from Clearfield? All right. We love Clearfield. We pick on cities where we feel like, yeah, we have friends there, which is actually most cities. And so if anybody was here from Clearfield, I would love that. So we played around with Clearfield. Here you're looking at the bus stops. Now, I wanted to zoom in on this question of how many jobs you can get to and show you how different it is than being near a bus stop. Okay? Here's the bus stops. You can read that. And then this is the number of destinations you can get to. This is a blending of both by car or by transit. And darker blues mean I can get to more things, right? So you see how there's a very poor correlation between being near a bus stop or a transit stop and having really high ability to get to jobs. Okay, planners, why? What do you think is happening in Clearfield that causes that blue area in there to be, or not Clearfield, maybe it's the infrastructure, that causes this to not be a sort of a landscape that just follows those transit stations? What do you guess? What's your guesses here?
Not a lot of jobs in Clearfield. They're getting to the front runner to go somewhere else.
Okay, nicely done, Levi. So the front runner station, the fastest form of transit, the speed of transit matters. And so part of what you're doing is you're seeing that the speed of the form of transit is part of the consideration here. So locations are not even in this case, the ability to get to jobs. Anything else? Okay, let's keep on trucking. So you customize this. Out comes a citywide score. You could use this in any way you felt like. You could use it to inform a general plan process. You could use it as a thought game. But I think part of the idea here is, let's say we're thinking about people with limited means. They have limited income, and we're thinking about, we want, as planners, to enable them to live a rich life. Enable. It's just things are near them. They don't have to go there, but it's easier to get to them if they're close or you have different choices to get there. And that's what this tool enables you to do. So, Christy is now going to take us through a case study. I hope that made sense. Any sort of initial questions about it? Okay, case study.
Cool. So as Ted mentioned, this tool was built, initially to really just be a conversation starter, help inform planning commissions, the public, even, if a developer wants to come in, have a conversation with the city about anything, some development they're interested in or something. So there's things other than jobs and transportation that matter when it comes to considering where to locate housing, context, access, and proximity. If you have no context in this context, talking about, characteristics, the character of the community, you want to fit into the character of the community. You wouldn't want to have a 10-story apartment building in the middle of a, single family home neighborhood or something like that. So there's other considerations. No access. In this case, we're talking about no access to transportation, no access to amenities. It's going to be expensive to get the infrastructure out there, expensive to maintain. It's just not going to fit in. And then proximity, in this case, this is more of a local consideration. Ted was talking about access to opportunities as, more regional. We're talking about proximity to the amenities that he mentioned, and barriers to living a life, enabling a good life. Not being near childcare may make it difficult or impossible for some people to be in the workforce. The cost of housing, especially right now, isn't just the cost of your house. It's also the cost of transportation that you need to get to work and amenities and stuff. And so you want to consider the context, you want to have the access, and you want to be in close proximity to those amenities that Ted talked about. So we developed this tool, and it has been put to use as a conversation starter and to help inform decision making. So Ted talked about a case study. Anyone here from Ogden City? Okay, good, because I don't want to be questioned if I get any. I'm just kidding. Just again, as a reminder, here are the, I know, let's talk about Ogden City. And these are important to consider based on the development that you're developing. If you're talking about a 55 plus community, maybe you don't need to consider childcare, things like that. So Ogden City finds themselves in a situation where there's 2 school sites that are up for sale. The first one being Grandview Elementary School, and the other one being North Jackson. And they're trying to decide which one they should buy. And so what do? They turn to our trusty conversation starter tool. You can put in a specific address up there. So this is the Grandview Elementary site. They've put all the indicators as high. They want it to be very proximal, accessible, contextual. You can kind of see down here, it popped out this little parcel right here. And the tool will show you kind of how accessible each amenity is on the sliding scale. So very visually, easily digestible. Easily digestible. I don't know if all those words came out right, but easily digestible and gives you a score of 0.68. And considering 1 is the highest score, that's a pretty good score. So then they go ahead and look at this North Jackson school site. It's way up there. Not so accessible. So it's lacking in a little bit of access, it's lacking in a little bit of necessities. And I can't say with certainty, I wasn't there, that this was the decision maker, but they bought the Grandview school site and put some housing on there. Yeah, this is just them side by side. 4.1 down in Jacksonville, 0.68 up in Grandview. So easy educational piece, easy conversation starter. And on the flip side, you can then go back and look at this other site that you didn't put housing and say, how might we make this a more usable spot on the other side of the coin? Do we want to put more amenities there and raise the score for the area for future housing, or maybe have more multi-use rather than just residential? So yeah, great case study for our use of the tool. It's not our only tool that we have. We have a lot. We've got several maps and tools available on the WFRC website. Open data using ArcGIS maps. Lots of information and data here that can help you also make these decisions. So it's not just this tool, but this tool is a great conversation starter. Anything you like to, well, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can add what you want.
Go back one slide. How many of you feel like you've used a framework like this in your planning, regardless of the name you use for the framework? There are different terms. And any experience that you guys want to share with their, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you want to, would welcome it. I always think that APA Utah it's on the one hand, it's like a family reunion. I really do mean that in the best way. And on the other hand, it's when you're presenting in a session at APA Utah, you're always presenting to experts. And I find that sometimes just drawing upon the expertise in the room is a really interesting and fun thing to do. So I just want to invite you in if you have thoughts and ideas here. Let me share with you the academic term for this framework, because we haven't used it yet. It is destination accessibility. That's the academic term. That would be the term of art that you would search for. It is growing in use around the country, more so in transportation planning circles and not as much in land use planning circles. And I think it's a concept to sort of kick the tires. It's different communities are going to think of this as, oh, that's a useful consideration, one of many, or that's a really important consideration, and we're going to orient around it, or whatever. But wanted to sort of start this conversation a little bit with you, see what you think, and also would invite, what would you change about this tool as we presented? Let me give you an example. Is there something that you would want to have accessible and is not in this tool that maybe not just for you as an individual, but you think for policy making, it is a useful thing to add fill in the blank into this tool? You can also do a critique. Just treat this as like, we just finished this. We would love to know what you think about it. By the way, it is live on the web right now. You can use it immediately. And just so you know, we'll pull up the QR code here in just a minute. But you can be thinking about that.
I will also say there are some features that we didn't go into that you can toggle on and off. You can toggle on the centers, for example, to see kind of proximity to centers, even though they're kind of inherent in the access to opportunities and the destinations and things like that. What else? I think there's walk sheds in there and other kind of features. And we also do acknowledge that this tool is primarily, for infill, redevelopment, greenfield development, and things like that. So for some of your communities, it may be a little hard to apply, but.
Let's think about the rural case for this. If I know that accessibility to destinations is core for rural communities, just the scale is different. How would you apply this to a rural context? Help me out here. Let me ask you a more specific question. You're in a rural community and you want to improve destination accessibility. What are your strategies? Yeah.
So I think a couple of things. People in rural areas still need to get to the same kinds of destinations that people in more urbanized areas need to get to. They just are more reliant on their own methods of getting there. So the options are to either bring those amenities to the rural areas, which is tough because everyone wants rooftops and everything else that gets them there, or you have to kind of grow into that. You have to grow your area to the point where now amenities are looking at getting to where you are. So I don't know how that helps the conversation necessarily, but as you're speaking, that's what kind of sticks in my mind, is that those are the two main ideas that drive rural access to amenities and why people locate themselves out in a rural area.
Yeah, that's good. You could almost start using the Google Map tool and suss out what locations in my rural county, when I click on them, cover the most ground within a 15-minute drive. And that could inform the question of where do I try to build a job center in my rural county, for example. Does that make sense? We didn't think we'd get through our material that fast. But I do think that sort of there's a framework here, and at the risk of it sort of feeling a little bit lecture-y, what are the kinds of strategies that planners we already play with these strategies. What are the strategies that you think improve destination accessibility within a municipal context? Can you think of some? One of them I already mentioned was street connectivity.
Mixed use zoning.
Yeah,
Mixed use, amen.
say zoning generally, hopefully, but
Okay, good. Do you have anything you want to elaborate on that?
zoning is really the primary tool that we have in how our city develops and what it ends up looking like. And I was actually just thinking about this tool that you're showing, because when we do like an analysis for a zone change application, or when we're looking at updating our general plan map, we essentially go through what that tool is showing, but we don't.
Yeah.
We just go through it in maybe not as digital format, but look at areas where we're close to jobs, close to transit, and we try to orient development in a way that would benefit the most would be next to those type of services, and also would have the least impact on infrastructure, like putting multifamily near shopping and jobs and transit stations.
That's good. Now, so we talked about in the rural context, you might figure out where are the locations where you have the biggest. Here's the term of art, isochrone. Isochrone is a geographic measure of what you can cover in a certain amount of time. Isochrone. So if you wanted to figure out your biggest isochrone in a rural context, that would be the way. Where would be the kinds of locations where you'd have a locational advantage naturally in a municipal context? Yeah.
I think one of the issues we're dealing with in regards to the city is utility accessibility. What types of utilities are in the ground and where? In terms of development, that's where, particularly southern Utah, where the topography is so cut up and our infrastructure is a little more difficult than, say, along the Wasatch Front.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest problems is knowing if you're going to develop something somewhere, knowing how close you are to utilities, how big, how much capacity those utilities have, things like that.
That is such an awesome point. And are you suggesting also, hey, you might look at that for the tool?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see that kind of improvement increasing the utility of the tool quite a bit. What community are you with? Okay, awesome. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. What if somebody had a hand up?
Sure, I'll say
Oh.
it's kind of hard to, there might be things already planned or even permitted that aren't being captured by this, so you're capturing like a fixed point in time that might not be as future looking is possible. But
Like-
it'd be hard to do that. Like,
You'd have a future road, you might have a future transit improvement, you might have a future job center, a future school. That's good. What if we now do a live demonstration? Keep your fingers crossed. We pick a community that's not here. I'm just kidding. No, but does anybody want to test drive this for your communities and you're with? Yes, of course. Yeah.
Well, I'm coming up.
You can do that, or Christy can help, or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so start from scratch. Maybe put everything on 0, But anyway, go to the live link. Oh, and by the way, we should, well, I promise we'll give you the QR code.
Yeah.
Ted, quick question.
Yeah.
So in the tool, when you're talking about proximity to parks,
Yeah, sure.
how does the tool treat
Type insert for that?
natural areas?
It
Or actually,
does not count a natural area as an amenity, and that is a very good question because maybe it should. Is that, are you kind of getting there?
What you were showing, I grew up in Ogden, so
Do you want to consider all of them?
almost an Ogden representative here. But I grew up on the foothills, and yes, there was still a park, an improved park within a 10-minute walk of my house.
Yeah.
We spent most of our time going up into the mountains.
Yeah. Did everybody hear him? Does that resonate with you? Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off. That's a fantastic point. Okay, so we have the utilities. We've got the natural amenity, not just the improved park. Or it could be passive park, passive recreation land. Nobody calls it that, but
It's a new word.
yeah.
Well, maybe you want to add the what am I trying to say?
Oh, like things you want to stay away from.
Like the gravel pits and the, whatever they.
Like I want to reduce my access to these locations, or if I'm planning housing, I don't want them near the tire burning facility.
Or
Yeah.
what about like a crime heat map or a bicycle vehicle heat map or that kind of thing?
Crime and bicycle?
No,
Crime by bicycle?
crime and accidents with bicycles.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, right. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, I like this quite a bit. Byron, would you make a few notes? I'm keeping it in my head, but didn't bring a pen up here. I have no pen, but we've got the main ones.
These are all access to things.
Oh, and videotape.
Yeah. These are all access to things that people would like to live nearby.
Yeah.
But maybe there are things they would like to avoid as well.
Did you know there's been some research based in Utah on what things people want to be near? And I'm telling you this, and I don't have the slides ready to go for this, but there's survey research about the kinds of things that people want near them, and it would be intuitive if you saw it, but I don't know why I shared that. it's relevant. Okay, yeah.
So if it's intended to be used as a development tool, right? I mean, these are prime locations. One of the things to consider, and I don't know if you got it in there, is what is the age of the existing housing stock? I mean, because really the age of the housing stock, you can look at that and say, is this area prime for redevelopment?
Yeah.
So I guess it's one of the questions I had is, how do you tie this into the county assessing data potentially?
Yeah, and I don't think that you can make the tool a one-stop shop, but we could put links to additional pieces of information people care about. Let me do a different area of question. Right now, you can, in the tool, filter by land use. So you can say, just show me the residentially zoned land. Just show me that. I don't want to know the commercially zoned land, or you can flip it. Other filters, here's another example. You could filter to say, just show me the vacant land. I just want to see the vacant land. I don't need to see the universe. Are there other filters like that that you would put on a tool like this? Question makes sense? Okay, well, yes.
I just have a question, like, if you wanted to just see how many, like, child care centers were in
Oh,
the area and not have
good.
it, like, tied to anything, can you use the tool that way?
Yeah, that's excellent. Sure, you can for sure. Yeah, any of those pieces of data you can just turn on to look at.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Christy, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I was just going to show an example of that. If you were so inclined, or I could just move on with our lives.
All yours. Go ahead.
So then you just push these little eyeballs on the side. Boop, 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 boop. it got a little overwhelming. So we let you toggle them on and off. So if you were looking at like just childcare and healthcare, boom. Is that what you were getting at? I couldn't see who.
Without the city, just in general, this area?
Yeah, you can.
Maybe I live on the outskirts.
You can also select multiple cities as well. It does. We specifically added this buffering bar because
you
it is a
turn
lot
off-
of data. So it can
If
take
you
a long
turn off
time.
every municipality, then it shows you the universe. All right, so Saratoga Springs. Ready?
Yeah, she found. Oh, we kind of did it while you were yapping. But we'll show you what we did. So Saratoga Springs doesn't have transit really, so their primary.
Hey, we're working on it.
Yes. So they, put auto access to jobs, low, because their main priority in this scenario would be to increase pedestrian access to jobs. So we put active transportation, super high, transit is in NA, and then we put all these amenities high.
And then what does it look like?
And this is what it looks like. So they've actually got some pretty prime locales. Wow, a full-blown one. You found it. Put your housing here.
It's full. There's no spot.
There's no spots.
But we do have multifamily there. The corner in particular really has a lot of different uses on it.
There you go. So you can use this as like a gut check on how did we do when we already put our housing there. You did great.
Yeah, lots of attached product there. Some single family, but then there's also a commercial center.
Very good.
Sarah, does this fit your mental model of? Do you think this would be like a useful consideration, or when you kick the tires on it, do you feel like, look, this is good in theory, but?
I think this is really useful. We are focusing heavily on how do we get better bus routes, how do we get transit, microtransit is coming to the area, so that's super exciting. But it does really help us in terms of walkability. So we do have a trails master plan, but we have pretty big gaps in our trail systems because we have developed and then undeveloped and then developed, and so we've been having developers put in those trails as they develop. So if a site isn't developed, we have gaps in our trail system. So we have really good intentions, but lots of gaps.
Yeah.
So it does help with things like that. If this is a core area where there's a lot of services and people might be inclined to walk to that, do we have those systems in place if
Yeah.
you want to walk or bike and use something besides the automobile, which in Saratoga is just a congested, high congestion. A congested mess, I was going to say, but lots of congestion, even in the middle of the day.
Yeah, that's good. Byron.
The discussion about like microtransit coming just made me think about this. Does the tool incorporate like demand response, like what's it called, VIA in the southwest part of Salt Lake County? And
That's a great question. I do not think it does right now. And how we would handle that in this is a question, but that's a great question. So we have utilities, we have natural features, we have safety considerations, we've got, what was it again? Oh yeah, transit, on-demand transit via. Okay, let's open it up, general Q&A suggestion or anything like that, and then we'll wrap for the day. And you could just, go to your hotel room, take the rest of the day off. Yeah, Levi.
I understand the tool's customizable and you can toggle these up and down. Is there like a default mode of a complete community, or would that just be turning all these up to one?
Do you know how it comes up when you just turn it on?
Everything comes up at 0.5.
Okay.
Neutral,
There's no
I guess.
like suggested like scaled best case scenario kind of thing. It's really just choose your own.
Yeah, and I will say I do believe, so in Saratoga's case, they don't have transit, so even if you leave transit toggled on or off, it won't impact because it's just not there.
Okay, so it's really meant to be, just customizable.
Check and see what you can filter Does it have a filter for vacant land or anything like that?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Can you go back to the presentation and pull up the QR code for people? I think we had a few other slides, and you can skip past them, I think. The Wasatch Choice Vision is a method to increase destination accessibility, and I don't think we need to talk about it right now. So I talk about it plenty. I really do, and I care about it. I love it, but I just think it's not the topic here today. So there's the QR code for this tool, and thanks a lot for being here. If you have other thoughts and ideas, would love to hear them. This has been really helpful for us in this, and appreciate it. Look forward to visiting with you. Okay. Yeah.
Ted, do you expect, or Christy, do you expect that this tool might be used in the own way that, what is a city, where's a location that we can improve the quality of life for our residents? And let's find the worst places.
Let me see if I understand what you're getting at. Could it be, where are the places in our city, the people already live there, but it has low destination accessibility to services. How can we solve that? And flip it that way? I love that. And it would not be that hard to have a second version of this, thanks a lot, a second version of this that is built that way to answer those questions. And it would not be about where you look. I mean, I'm just thinking aloud, right? It wouldn't be where do you locate housing. It would be, maybe you have to assert what's the kind of amenity, and then it tells you where's the desert for that amenity.
That's kind of the thinking, is you find all the deserts and where are the worst deserts for food and recreation.
I love that.
Yeah, going back to the Ogden case study, I think that was a conversation that they had after when they didn't buy that other school site. They said, what can we do to make this a better site for possible development in the future? So yeah, I do think that, and other things too, like, yeah, for sure. It doesn't have to just be housing, although that is the main intention, so you might miss some other things if you're looking specifically at like economic development, but I do think that would be a good use for it.